Hello, I'm Cathy Petersen, a volunteer with the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. You are watching Business Connection, a program produced by the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber is committed to collaborating and finding business solutions with regional business leaders on key issues. Today, our guests are Tim DeHart, President and CEO of AAA Wastewater, and Bob Gray, Sales and Business Development, also with AAA Wastewater. Thank you both for joining us. It's such a pleasure to have you here today. Now, each year the Chamber awards a $25,000 cash award at its annual meeting to an entrepreneur in the Dayton region. And this year, AAA Wastewater has received this honor. And Tim, we'll start with you. Can you give our viewers a brief history of your company?
Well, we're just thrilled to be here and thrilled to win this award. It was really fantastic for our company. My dad started with sewer machines back in 1952, and then in 1954 he started pumping septic tanks. He was married to another woman at the time, and her father had the sewer machine, and none of the other sons wanted to get involved. So it became like a classic small business where he then met my mother working at NCR, and he started the business, and it just continued to grow. My mother was an excellent, they decided that the business was doing so well that they left NCR to branch out on and do the business full time. She was great at answering the phones and managing the books. He was a great technician, friendly, both of them honest, and the business just continued to grow. Fast forward into the 90s, they were really environmental before environmental was known. And so my father was very forward thinking and buying farms to land apply the sewage onto the farms. In the 90s, the federal EPA decided that sewage should no longer be treated that way and said to look at different alternatives. So they got into developing the treatment plant there on our farm in Franklin Township. And so that kind of started it all. In the 80s, they also got into portable toilets, or porta potties, as a lot of people call them. We want to call them portable restrooms, kind of raise the,
yes.
the bar a little bit. But we got into those, and then in the 90s we also got into grease traps, cleaning grease traps for local restaurants, restaurants, retirement homes, colleges, just about any commercial kitchen has a grease trap, so there's a need for that. And then I left the business early on. I wanted to see other parts of the world and had the great opportunity to do that. I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Paraguay in the 90s, and then I decided to become a Peace Corps trainer in Peru. Peru had just opened up, so in the early 2000s I moved to Peru and was living there for 9 years basically, and had become the director of the largest art show fundraiser with the American Embassy when my mother was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. And so I came back. I decided to come back in 2009 and took over the company in 2010. And that's when I started to realize we really were an environmental company, but we weren't capitalizing on that. And they were just doing what they knew to do, right? And with the financial crisis, my mother's illness, there was a lot of problems happening. And so I started to look at how could we market the company better and in a different way. And that's when I started looking at the resources. As a returned Peace Corps volunteer, one of the first things we teach in Peace Corps is to look at the resources in your community. So I started doing that, and I found the Dayton Regional Green 3 initiative was just taking off. So we got certified as one of the first 10 businesses to be both green certified and blue certified with water preservation. So I think having been in the Peace Corps and looking at Peru has become much more looking at the environment, and water is becoming a big issue there. And so I started to look at what can we do to be good stewards of the farm and of the environment. And so then we started calculating what is the impact of the sewage on the soils, and what can we do with this brown grease that nobody wants. So that's kind of where it all started.
Wow. I mean, what a transformation, you know, from such a small idea and business to where you are today. How many employees do you have now?
We are 14 strong, and I would love to hire some more. So if there's people that are interested in working with the environment and have good attitudes, come and see me, because that's what I want. I want to change the culture as well. I want to be one of those companies that people want to work with and never want to leave. And that's what we're striving for.
Yes, absolutely. And Bob, you've been there 3 years. You know, it was right about the time when you were talking about, you know, marketing and getting the business. Bob, tell me about your role.
Well, my role is to go out and try and get business for us. We work with the portable restrooms, so we're working with park districts. We work with several park districts. We work with schools. We do the Dayton Public Schools for their grease traps. So I go out and try and find all these accounts that we can work with and utilize that. And again, the great selling points that we have are that we are helping the environment and we are reusing this to just make everything better. And that's a great selling point. And I came on when Tim had this vision, and I was just pleased to be a part of that, because this is where you want to go. This is what you want to do. If you can give back, to the community and to the earth, this is what you want to do. This is the environment. Yeah.
And I've known the name because I've been involved with DRG3, and I knew that you were one of the first ones, and that's what a great honor, but also what you're doing for the environment. Now, you mentioned a lot of different businesses you work with. Who are your typical customers?
Well, that's been one of my biggest challenges, to be honest with you, because in business they say you want to know who your customer is to be able. We clean residential septic tanks, so those are people who have a home and have a septic tank. So there's not a lot of good data on who has septic tanks and who doesn't. So that's been one of our challenges. Then we also clean the grease traps. So high schools, any kind of school, restaurants, of course, anything as a commercial kitchen, hospitals, retirement homes. Those are all our customers. We also do food processing plants where they process food, and even manufacturing where they have ink wastewater as well is one of the issues that we've encountered. Car wash pits as well, car repair shops that have grit stations and things that they're cleaning out the cars as well. We can pump those. So then we get into portable toilets, and I've discovered that we have basically 4 different types of markets within that. So we focus on construction companies as well. That's our bread and butter when they put on a route, if you will. And you can see one of our units on I-75 right now for a construction site. Festivals, small festivals and large festivals. Weekend private parties and parks is what we look at. And we try to bring the best, cleanest, nicest smelling units around. That's what we pride ourselves in.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to use a portable toilet because of the smells. So we're looking at how can we combat that so that people don't have that same opinion of our units.
So it's the new and improved.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
So, and it can be challenging.
Yeah. Oh,
But,
absolutely.
yeah.
What about competitors in the region? How many companies are doing what you do?
Well, for each one of those divisions, there's different competitors. And there's not one necessarily that does all that we do, nor do we do all that they do. So it makes it kind of interesting. I would say in the septic tanks, there's maybe a dozen in the region. We're centrally based in northern Warren County, so we have both competition in the Dayton market and the Cincinnati market. So we're kind of in a weird no man's zone, if you will, of media that makes it very challenging for us. So with the portable toilets, there's less than that, maybe 6 or so competitors in the region. And then with the commercial grease traps, many more. There's people that come from Indiana as well, because a lot of people will do the fryer grease as well. So, and the fryer grease is what is the commodity, is the oil that they turn into biodiesel fuel. So that a lot of people want that fryer oil.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like there's so many things that you're doing. That's exciting.
There is, and there is.
Yeah.
And what makes us
exciting.
Yeah, and what makes us unique though with the grease traps is the fact that we do have that treatment facility there on our site that other people don't have. So that gives us a little edge, I think, in that area.
No, absolutely, because a lot of the municipal wastewater treatment plants don't want service providers like ourselves offloading with them. And if they do, the tipping fees or the amount that costs to offload is quite expensive. So with septic tanks, it's okay. There's a couple in the region that you can still offload. But with the brown grease, you have to go to Richmond, Indiana, or to Cincinnati at the MSDS in order to offload the brown grease. So we're really at an advantage to be able to process this on our own site.
Absolutely. One of the statistics I was reading is 40% of all wastewater in Southwest Ohio is burned or put into wastewater.
Or put into landfills.
Okay.
Yeah, into land.
What does that mean for our environment?
It means that the EPA says that about the average person, average U.S. citizen, produces 4 pounds of waste every day on an average. So all of that waste is going into landfills. We cannot contain all of that waste in an environmentally and safe manner and not through landfills. So then you have all that waste, then you have all this organic material that's coming from wastewater treatment plants going into these same wastewater landfills. And so it's just filling up the landfills at a faster rate than they can manage. So why have that organic waste be burned for example, when that energy can be used for something else, there's a lot of programs now that are taking that methane gas and using it as a fuel source, which I would love for us to do. And there's no need in putting the rest of it into a landfill and taking up that space when it can be applied to the soils.
Oh,
Is the point.
absolutely.
So, and that's happening unfortunately at a lot of wastewater treatment plants as we speak in the region, well, 40%.
Sure.
So.
And you touched on this a little bit, renewable energy. You know, talk about that a little bit.
Well, there's opportunities, and we'll see that that's becoming more popular, where there's certain gases that are coming off with a mixture of the wastewater, the different types of wastewater. So we'll see that. I know in Columbus now there's a company that's producing fuel from that mixture, and I think we'll see that moving forward. There is a movement with the more professional wastewater treatment plants that are thinking outside the box now and looking at, instead of just you know, how do I say this? There's a movement in our industry and service providers that they don't have the luxury that we have of having the farm. And so they're looking at how do they just separate the sewage from the water, put the water back in the sewer, and then put the other particles in the landfill. And that's where I think that we've got to come up with some different ways, because it's not necessary. There are ways that the brown grease, for example, could be used for a filler for biodiesel fuel if it's processed correctly. There's other opportunities to use it in place of coal or other energy sources. So there's a lot of interesting, neat things going on that we want to take advantage of.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm sure, Bob, you're learning so many new things too.
Oh, yes. It's constantly, we're always researching on what we can do to improve and how we can use these things. And it's just, it's just neat to really see what, everybody's trying to do to just make everything better. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Now, how much waste does AAA Wastewater process?
We, last year we produced 2.7 million gallons of sewage and 350,000 gallons of brown grease.
Oh my goodness.
So it's, we're small in many ways.
But it sounds like a lot.
But it sounds like a lot. Yes, it does, it does. And Cathy, one of the things that I've learned, I was a Peace Corps trainer, and I'm a very visual, so I created a sustainability cycle that I brought in to show you earlier. And so what I wanted with that sustainability cycle is to provide a visual for my employees to get what we're doing. There's still a lot to be done in the environmental movement in this region, and so I was hoping that the employees and our customers as well can understand better where we're going with the whole process.
Oh, sure. And you can see on the sign here a little bit. Tell us about what are we seeing here?
So we start with our services and products at the top. We're based on a farm, and so we've looked at how we can utilize the farm as well. We're a beautiful location, and I'd like to have more events on there. This year we're celebrating our 60th anniversary, and we're going to have a big celebration in August. So, and there's different things we can do with the farm. Then we move into our restroom division, which we have the different types of products that we offer. And then we move into the pumper division, which has the pumper and residential, includes the car wash pits and the food processing plants. So as you can see, we have many different types of customers. We touch really basically everybody in some capacity, because most people go out to a restaurant or that have a grease trap, or a movie theater or sporting event.
Sure.
Yeah, and then not to mention the portable toilets.
Yes.
So so then it moves around to the collection process that we bring onto the farm. There's potential in the future to allow other service providers in, as well as looking at manures as well, because there's an issue with manure, excess of manure. And then we move that around to the processing. And a few years ago, I attended a workshop in Columbus that talked about recovering the resources, and that's where I kind of got the idea, and to change our name of our center to a Resource Recovery Center, to look at what are the different products that we can pull out of the wastewater, and then that goes on into the farmers around the loop, and then gets applied to the soils, and we look at how we can improve the soils, and then it loops back around. And then inside of the sustainability cycle, I look at how can our employees be successful when they're emotionally, physically, and financially stable. That's when we achieve success. Yes. So I think that wraps it in.
It really does. That's a great visual to show how it all comes around. And I know, being a green certified business, you talked about the employees' role in that. I mean, it really is getting the employees involved in the mission and owning it.
Right.
What are some of the things you do with employees? Some of the things within.
We generally try to have what we call 18 meetings. We were having them there for a while every month, and it seemed like people were getting meetinged out. So we've backed them off a little bit. We have them quarterly, where we try to do some sort of workshop activity to team build, as well as talk about where we're at and where we're going. And then we have once a month what we call readiness meetings for each division. Because each division has different customers, they have different needs. So the readiness meetings are to be ready for our customer, get us ready. And so we have those once a month. And then we do breakfasts. I try to do a breakfast with me where I invite them out to breakfast and they can ask me questions, or we can talk about issues on at least a biannual basis. We do a really nice brunch or breakfast for Christmas with just the employees, and do a fun activity. I don't know if you got any any ideas.
Yeah, well, like I said, we try to do some things where, just go out bowling or whatever the case may be, just to include everybody. He also does training. We do a lot of training so that everybody's on board and knows what's up to date as far as training and learning the processes. So.
Oh yes, and it seems like you're seeing a lot of changes, so
Yeah.
that's very important. To keep the employees engaged. Now, as the Soin Award winner, you will receive $25,000 from the Chamber. What do you plan on doing with the proceeds?
Well, what we would like to do is the brown grease processing is still at a small scale, so we'd like to use that money to increase the scalability of it and see what we can do on have a bigger impact with it. And so we're setting that money aside just for that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, where do you see your business in, say, the next 10 years?
I see us being one of the leaders, or if not the leader in this region with this type of services. I think that we work really hard, and we're out there with the community. We're involved in several chambers, local chambers. I'm sit on the board of 2 chambers. Bob's very active as a volunteer in many of the chambers, and people are getting to know our name. Last year I was on a panel with the Cohen brothers and me and the Cincinnati Zoo, talking about environmental issues. And the facilitator said, to Mr. Cohen, what's it like growing up to be the son of a trash hauler? I guess that wouldn't be too much fun. And I said, I'll argue with him, I'll debate with him which was better, the son of a septic tank pumper or a trash hauler. So we can fight that one out.
Sure.
So I just think for many years my dad, his style was he wanted to fulfill his family. He wanted to feed his family. That was why he was into business. We are at a point where we can be a bigger business than that. And I have an obligation to my employees and their families to do a good job for them. And that means growing and becoming more professional. I'll put a plug in for Aileron. 2 weeks ago, I attended the course of presidents and talking about putting in more professional model into the organization. And I've already met with my business advisor once. I'm looking forward to developing that as well, so we can move forward. So.
What do you see, Bob?
And I share some of these visions with Tim, and I know that he and I both want to see this place, our company, be 100% sustainable with everything we take in. Within 10 years, I'd like to see us, being able to sell the sewage for land applications to farmers for fertilizer. We could run our whole fleet, which we hope to grow, on our biodiesel fuel that we could bring in from the grease, and just be 100% sustainable as far as bringing everything in and being able to give back to the community as well. I think that would be just, and growing. Mm-hmm. We just purchased a company, another portable restroom company, Nature Calls, just 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And so we are growing, and we hope to just be able to grow and really, like I said, be sustainable, and just that's our vision and our dream, I believe.
For our viewers who are watching, how can they learn more about your company?
By certainly liking our Facebook page at AAA Wastewater.
Right.
And also we try to make a lot of humor, so you'll see some fun things on our Facebook page that may not see on our website, which is AAAwastewater.com.
Okay.
And both of those are great resources for learning more about our company.
Absolutely, and we're seeing so much, social media incorporated into business. Why was that so important, for you to have that presence?
Well, when I started thinking about what we could do, the last thing I was thinking was a septic tank company being liked on Facebook. Who knew?
Yes.
Who knew? We have close to almost 300 likes now on our Facebook page.
Sure.
So I think it helps engage the audience, our audience, in what we're doing a little easier and faster than per se a website does. So, but I think they're both important right now. I think having attended some social media classes, we may see websites going away at some point, especially as we move more to smartphones and getting all our information from smartphones.
Yeah.
So,
Do you get a lot of interaction from the people who've liked your page? You know, what kind of questions do they ask? Things like that.
we don't get a lot of questions per se. We get more feedback, positive feedback.
Good.
Usually, and we post. They tend to like some of our posts. Some of the.
And every now and then we'll get a picture posted, or I'll get something that's sent to me from. I know one of our chamber members was at a race, Relay for Life, and she texts me and said, "Hey, I just saw you." It shows me the toilet and says, "I thought of you," which you know, those are humorous things that we get to deal with. Oh, thanks. Yeah, but yeah, but those, you know, they see us and they recognize us and they make it known. So we do. Yeah, we do enjoy that.
It is. It's exciting to see that, you know, evolving too with the social media. Now, if people go to your website, you know, what are some of the things they're going to see on there?
They'll see some pictures of our products and services. If they have a septic tank, it's a really good place to go to get your questions answered. We have some links to the Ohio EPA that they can link in, a manual for septic tank owners to understand how to operate it better. A septic tank is basically like a mini treatment plant in their backyard, and so there's certain things you need to do to maintain it. One of those is pumping it every 3 to 5 years to get the sludge out of it so it doesn't back up into the house or into their leaching line. So it's a good thing. They can read that. It's not coming from us, it's coming from the EPA. So it's a credible source. And then and just look at some of our other products and get more information about what it entails, what we do, I think is what they'll find.
Now, how did you become aware of the Soin Award?
Again, when I was trying to look for what we could get from our community, I saw it and just thought that my dad started toying with microbes and enzymes and different things with the sewage process about 10 years ago. And I thought what he was doing, and I attended some of the workshops for wastewater treatment plants in our industry, and just saw what he had been doing was very unique. And so I thought, well, we're taking an older company and innovating. And I had to do something to make the company stronger after the financial crisis. And so I thought, well, how can we do this to the next level? And so that's when I thought, well, I'll apply for the Soin Award 3 years ago. So this was the third year that we applied for it. It was not just out of the bat that we got it. But and then last year we got a presentation, and they had a lot of questions for us. And so this past year, I looked at the questions that they had and tried to answer them, and they liked what they heard. So it was good.
Well, congratulations. It's a very exciting time for you.
Yes, it is.
Anything else you want to add about your company?
Just that we provide a quality, honest, friendly service for a fair price, and we enjoy helping people and solving problems, and we hope that people help us grow by ordering our services.
All right, wonderful. Tim DeHart and Bob Gray from AAA Wastewater, thank you so much for being with us today. You've been watching Business Connection. I'm Cathy Petersen, your host. Now stay tuned for a message from the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce.
Today's program highlights the Chamber's most recent Soin Award for Innovation recipient, AAA Wastewater. In 2007, during the Chamber's 100th anniversary, it was decided we needed a continuing legacy for the work done by our small business entrepreneurs and supported by the Chamber of Commerce. We believe that our region has always been a hotbed for innovative thinking, problem solving, and business commercialization. Our local entrepreneurs have always guided the way using new creative ideas to solve a broad spectrum of challenges. Today's program highlights the ideas and innovations of a company that has moved into green technology fields while still keeping its core business intact. The actual award was presented to AAA President Tim DeHart at our annual meeting back in May. Our program is designed to share with you, our viewers, another great success story of creative business applications here in the Miami Valley region. Our congratulations to AAA Wastewater on its latest achievements, including its selection for the region's most prestigious entrepreneurial recognition, the Soin Award for Innovation.